We may have to have some salary negotiations or something. There you go.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everyone to our February 17th regular call school board meeting. I would like to start by having our pledge, and I think our South Irvin Elementary School students are going to lead us in the pledge. So if we could all stand at this time, and Ms. Hall, you want to come forward with your students?
We do say it a little slower.
Okay. We'll follow you.
Okay. Right on your heart, guys. Put your feet on your heart. It's inside your chest. We find the flag. We'll say the words slowly together. Ready, set, go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Thank you all so much. Everyone can be seated now. I'd like to remind all of our visitors and people, if you'd like to sign in, there's a sign-up sheet here by the door. Mr. Saylor, do we have any revisions to our agenda tonight?
No, there is not a revision. I will call your attention. There was a item that was posted yesterday. Just wanted to make sure that you all did notice that it was under item 3, facilities, which was item C, future projects. And that was on the ESSER project, but everything was posted 24 hours ago, and it is good to go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saylor. We'd like to start, first on our board agenda, we have our recognitions. We have our mountain movers, Mr. Saylor.
Well, we have Miss Mallory with us today, and she's here to recognize our mountain movers. And we're going to start out with our community mountain mover, and we're going to ask for our representatives from the Estill County Public Library to come forward. And the Estill County Public Library has been a staple in the Estill County community for over 40 years. The library has been active in district and community programs, including job fairs, teen programming, co-op programs for senior students, monthly blood drives, Storytime Infant for 3 years, Friends of the Library, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, Primetime Family Reading Program, School Career Fair, Staff Opening Day, and Miss Tiffany Reynolds is the library director, and we're really excited about their new program this summer that goes along with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library that will be select members within our community that will be chosen to their children receive free books, and it's a new program, I think, and they're wanting to get it up and off the ground. So if you come forward, Miss Mallory, and we're...
Just in case someone doesn't know, this is Miss Kay Scrivener, and she's going to be accepting the Mountain Mover Reward on behalf of our public library. Thank you.
And Miss Rebecca or somebody, can we get a photo, please? Y'all,
I was looking, I was
Angie, if you want to, that'd be great.
Thank you.
And the Estill County Public Library is just another one in a long list of community agencies that support our school district, and we're very thankful for them. Our next mountain mover is our certified mountain mover, and it's Miss Elena Cavazos. And Miss Cavazos teaches music at the high school and middle school. She is a high school choral director and hopes to have an 8th grade choral program next year. She's a first-year teacher and is also co-teaching a math class. She is the KMEA District Choral Chair. Elena stated that she has known her entire life that she wanted to be a music teacher. She feels her students are surprised with her teaching style because they don't expect to be up and moving as much as they do in class. She uses those methods to introduce them to music by using music that they are familiar with. Elena loves the fun times she's had with her students, and there are many. She loves the staff at ECMS and has made genuine friendships that she treasures. and she is doing an absolute fantastic job with the choral program. You know, everybody knows that we have a award-winning band program, but there's not an absolute reason in the world we can't have an award-winning choir program as well. And she has started the foundation of building that program, and we're glad to have you in our district.
Thank you so much.
And we have one more, and it's our classified mountain mover, Miss Sharon Ginter. Miss Ginter has worked for the Estill County Schools for 20 years, and she has worked 14 of those years at Estill Springs in the MSD classroom. Sharon loves working with students and has always felt like the staff at Estill Springs is family to her. Sharon has one grandchild that she is looking forward to spending more time with in the near future. And we're so happy to recognize you, Sharon, today as our classified mountain mover. And I'd just like to recognize Backstreet Grub. They supply both of our certified and our classified mountain mover with a gift certificate for a free lunch or however they wish to use it. So we're very appreciative of their support as a community partner.
Thank you, Mr. Saylor. So next on our agenda, we have our school presentation given by South Urban Early Learning Center. We have Miss Hall with us tonight.
We're going to start by sharing with you our expectations. We've worked hard this year on what's called PBIS, Positive Behavior Intervention System.
Come on over, guys. And
You
y'all
guys want to come over here and everybody line up and turn around and face the crowd?
We start
Wanna come
today
this
by
way?
saying our expectations, and that's what we're going to do for you today. I'll turn this around so that you can see it for a second. It has our expectations on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it kind of hurts.
You want to come? You guys want to come over? Yeah. I
Okay, we're going to do it just like we do them at the school in the morning. Yes. Well, we have this, so. All right, can you see it, boys and girls?
Okay, we're ready, Miss Hall.
Okay, we're going to do it just like we do at school every morning. Find our train poster in our classroom. We're going to say the words slowly together. Ready, set, today I will be kind to my friends. I will be responsible with my things. I will be safe everywhere I go. Good job, boys and girls. If you didn't understand when they said today I will be kind to my friends, I will be responsible with my things, and I will be safe everywhere I go. Good job, boys and girls. Thank you for bringing your children out also. And
Thank you, boys and girls.
Yes.
we do have a really short video so that you could get a glimpse into what we do at school each day. Mr. Simpson, can you play that for us?
Crisscross applesauce.
I can do crisscross applesauce jumping into the
You can?
Awesome.
Some things never change. No matter how.
Crisscross, I can't get back up. I can't either.
No, if you have to have cranes.
You do crisscross applesauce, right?
You have to have cranes. You have to have.
Call the local towing service.
I used to be able to do it and walk on my knees.
Yeah, I could do it too. I can still do it.
I-
Nice job. I saw some friends that were really okay with playing by themselves, so that was you, Rachel. You were cool about playing by yourself, playing by yourself. Nice. Okay, hands down.
And I want to rub my face.
I understand that. Raise your hand.
So we can hear it?
love smarter room? Play what?
Play in the tower.
What's your favorite thing about preschool?
At the school, I like my
And they really made it look a lot easier than it is.
That's a good day.
That was a good day. But no, let me also say that we want to also thank Community Action Council, who is our Head Start partner. They are very instrumental in us being able to offer the preschool program at South Urban that we do. When I first arrived here 7 years ago now almost, we had 6 preschool classrooms. Now we have up to 10 preschool classrooms. I think we got 9 this year, and one of our teachers is working with special ed students and students that are developmentally delayed. But without the support of CAC, we would not be able to offer the program that we're offering for our students. Miss Tony Garrett Hall and her staff are doing a wonderful job. Right here's the future of Estill County. Right here sitting in this floor. So we're very appreciative to have you all today, Miss Hall. And guys, we're thankful that you came and visited us.
I shared our data. I gave each of you a sheet of our data if you're interested in that as well. We are learning quickly.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Hall. Thank you, boys and girls. You come back and visit us.
I'm just sitting there, well, I'd like to incorporate
Unless y'all
that.
want to stay and approve construction projects, you are more than welcome to go. Are they back here? They'll take care of it.
Yeah, but our check things and those signed eventually.
Mr. Saylor, you think we could incorporate that nap time into the board meeting?
Well, thank everyone that stayed. Those children, it's a hard act to follow. So I think we have facilities from Peter and Kenny, and those kids are a hard act to follow. So.
I think that Kenny and Peter are going to recite a nursery rhyme. And once they're through with that,
I think it's that part about I will be good, I will be kind.
I will be under budget. I
That's right.
will be on time. And no, thank you guys for being here.
So we have ATC first on our agenda, and we're looking for an update from you guys.
So at the ATC, we were hoping to finish up the punch list work on the VCT and the base, but 2 weekends ago we had the ice storm come in. They did show up this past weekend, got all the base down, but we got some rooms we got to go back and redo on the LVT, and we're trying to schedule that work right now, so I don't have an update for you when they'll be back, but it's probably a day's work to finish out and be done with that. We've got to go back and do a hardware inspection report or a walkthrough from the report on all your door hardware. We're waiting on one part to come in. Once that part's in place, I'll call Peter, he'll get hold of his people, I'll come down and do that. So, and then we're still hanging out there on the paving. Obviously, that won't happen until the plant opens back up. So that's really all I have for the ATC right now.
So,
When does that plant open back up?
Excuse me?
When does the paving plant open back up?
Typically, it's about the 1st of April. It all depends on the weather. It just depends on if it's 70 degrees and March 15th, they may open it up a little earlier, but typically about 1st of April.
Gotcha.
I did talk to John today, John Sanford, who did the bus garage work. He's also doing the paving, and we talked about the 1st of April, and he didn't have anything bad to say today, so I think, he's on track to get that done. And of course, we're going to start baseball and softball season with just a gravel base, but as soon as he can get down to first base and get down the first layer of blacktop, and then they can finish up, and he can come back and finish the final coat on that. So my goal is, and I think we've got, 2 contractors left out there, or 3 to close out?
I forgot to say, we got to pour that flume still.
Yeah, which is
So
right.
we won't pour the flume until spring break probably. So, I mean, we're still holding that one open as well.
Our goal is to get this closed out, try to close it out in June and get our EDA grant closed out, because we just don't need it hanging out there. But it's just hard here during the winter months to get these things done, and so hopefully we'll get that closed out. But I do think we've got one pay application.
okay, so we have approval of pay application number 29, which involves contractors, suppliers, and Codell. Do you want to talk about that, or?
We just closed it out. Right.
Yeah, I think we closed out a couple. Yeah, we closed out our electrician and our mechanical plumbing contractors, CKSM and Babcon, closed them out, and that kind of correlates with the change orders coming up in a minute for Babcon, which is a credit back to the owner. So we closed out, there was probably six subs open. We closed out at least 2 of them already.
So we need a motion?
Yes, recommendation is to pay the application.
So we need approval of the pay application number 29 in the amount of $25,638.39. So I need a motion for that. Ms. Sheila Samples makes a motion. I need a second. Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion about the pay application? If not, I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next on our agenda, we have the approval of a change order 901-9 to Babcon.
Yeah, so like I was saying there, Babcon had a credit back to the owner of $2789.94, and that was for hooking up the equipment that was donated by Carhartt. We had some monies in our bid to do that work, but I think graciously Carhartt did it for the school at no cost, is what I understand.
So I need a motion to approve the change order 901-9 to Babcon. Brian Covey makes a first and Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. We're moving on down to the Estill County High School Phase 7 renovation project.
Well, I'd say you got to drive by it pretty regularly, and you see the massive structures out there and all that we're doing. So I'll start first at the baseball and softball, since it's kind of, we're trying to wrap it up. We've got a couple weeks to go still. We know we're under the gun with baseball season and softball starting, but we've had some issues with procurement of structures. We're still waiting on sanitary structures still. And those structures go right down the middle of the roadway up there. So from the boys' concession stand all the way down to the softball field, I have to have those structures in place before I can finish the work, and there's work that has to happen after that. So the game plan, and what I was told today in our meeting, we had a meeting today on site, was tomorrow, the first structure will show up tomorrow. They're gonna work the weekend, get that one in, and the next 2 structures will show up on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And so, like I said, the game plan would be for us, and again, it's all about weather. Next week it's supposed to rain 4 of the 5 days, is that in, I'd say 2.5 weeks, we can wrap that softball and baseball completely up. Now, we will have the fields are in condition to where the staff could come out there and do what they need to do whenever Mr. Sitter says so, but as far as using the press boxes at this point, and we're still painting. When you start the season, you probably won't have, like you mentioned already, the paving won't be complete. We'll have base down. Unless we get some really great weather before the season starts, the painting the inside of the dugout itself probably won't happen because paint won't stick right now to the block. So there'll be a few things that might be missing, but the main thing is getting your sewer hooked up, your water hooked up, and being able to use your restrooms and your concessions is our main goal there. So moving down to the football field, we're digging away down there. I mean, we're chipping rock out every day. We've hit solid rock. So your storm drainage that's there now goes down the middle of the field. We got to put a brand new storm system in on the outside, run it through the back of the end zone, outside the bleachers. We're in solid rock, so it's slow work. It really is. We're trying to develop some game plans where we can come in there and do some things a little quicker than what we was hoping, but again, it's just a constant battle every day, just fighting the mud, fighting the rock. So, but again, we've got 40-some guys on site. That's not for lack of effort. It's a slow process.
I always wondered what was underneath that field.
Positive notes, the tennis courts are ready and they're in use by our kids. There's an additional couple of coats of sealant that goes on top of those courts, but they'll be done during the summer. Baseball and softball, I've told them that, we're not going to put a porta potty up there. Those bathrooms are going to be functional when we play. They'll be trying to get some sod in there to get our infields back that they can work on. Y'all can start work on the infields and do some things. Fence goes up Monday, hopefully.
Right.
So once that's done, they'll get some work done. We'll know the sod's coming in, and when we're ready to play there, the week of I think we're like the week of the 20-something, maybe the 21st for softball, the week of the 15th for baseball. We feel like we'll be way down the road. Right now, our plans are that on May 10th, we play Powell County in a baseball, softball doubleheader. And we're going to reach out to Powell County, and I think they'll be gracious enough that we're going to have our grand opening ceremonies on that day. And who better to bring our neighbors over and let them help us celebrate. And so that's the goal right
And the
now.
same for our first football game.
Our first football game, we're going to have our neighbors from the north here as well to dedicate that facility.
See the 10th for sure.
They've been great partners with us with the ATC, and we get after each other on game night, but overall, we're pretty good friends other than that, so we're very appreciative of them, and I know that Mr. Yost and I think they may have already reached out, but we've been sort of planning that now for a little bit, so we'll get those wrapped up, and I feel good about the progress. We've had a meeting today, and there's some things that we're looking at to try to speed the process, but hopefully we'll be okay. They understand.
We're working.
They understand they're working, and they understand the gun that we're under to get it ready.
Okay. So with nothing further on the update, then we have some approval of invoices for special inspection for the amount of $19,201.
And I believe those are SM&E.
They are, yes.
and of
we
course-
we reviewed those in-house, and they do reflect work that has been completed in the field by the special inspector.
My recommendation is to pay that application.
Okay, I need a motion to pay that application. Do I have a motion? Brian Covey makes a first and Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion regarding this? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Rebecca, excuse me, that was an invoice, it's not an application. The next one's the application
Sorry.
for payment. That's my fault.
And so the next on the agenda, we have approval of payout number 5 in the amount of $606,150.29.
My recommendation is to pay Payout 5. It's been reviewed by both Ross Tarrant and Codell Construction.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Brian Covey makes a motion. Do we have a second? Tammy Hardy makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Okay. Okay, now we're down to approval of some change orders. We have quite a list of them.
Well, I know that Kenny may want to jump in here, but I will let you know that these are the change orders that we discussed when we first began the project. As you all know, there were several items that we did not bid. We wanted to see where we were at money-wise, and now we're coming back, now that we may be a little bit over a third through with the project, probably getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 35–40%. So, so with that, we know now that sort of where we're at with some things. So these change orders, Kenny has written them based on the contractor that's involved with those particular change orders, and some of the contractors are involved in multiple change orders. But let me tell you what each one of these are. 3 of these are parking lot improvements. One is for the overlay and blacktop of the student parking lot behind the building. That includes some new lighting, I believe, as well, which is part of that original base bid, but we felt like we wanted to make sure that that parking lot, since the other part was new, is going to be as well. The second one involves the repaving, the milling and the repaving of the parking lot from the front entrance all the way down the side of the building to the band room, which is where the last PR takes place, and down the front of the building. So when everything's done, all the blacktop from the entrance of the high school, all the way around the building, around the new football complex, and all the way out to the exit of the high school will all be new blacktop. It'll be completely redone. It also involves the set of steps. As you know, there are track venues up on the practice field. There'll be times football teams will have to go up on the practice field because they'll not always practice on the turf field. They'll play a lot on grass, so they'll want to be on grass. So there's a set of steps that will go from the student parking lot up to the ATC center. We know what's going to happen. If we don't put steps there, there's going to be people trying to come down the grass in wet weather. Somebody's going to fall, somebody's going to get hurt. So we're going to put the steps there not only as a convenience, but a safety measure as well. The other big change order deals with the gym lobby. And as you know, there's new goals already going into the gym. There's air conditioning going into the gym. There's a new athletic trainer's office that's going there. So we waited to see what kind of money we had. We're going to be able to redo the entire gym lobby, which means the entire concession stand is going to be redone professionally, so it's not just cobbled up the way it is now.
With plug-ins.
With plug-ins, with the proper water, with everything that's supposed to go along with it, new coolers, those types of things. So all that will be done. And then when you walk in there, the tile is starting to wear. All the new tile will be done. If you've been to Estill Springs, you got the big E coming in the lobby. You'll have 2 of those big E's in the floor tile. And then you'll have trophy cases all the way from door to door, floor to ceiling, to take care of all the different awards and things that we want to be able to display and take care of. So those are the major change orders. There's one small change order up on the softball, baseball parking lot, which allows eventually for us to get paving all the way around the softball outfield fence to that sort of new parking area back there, which is not part of the project right now, but we've been looking at that in terms of a general fund type thing. But other than that, did I leave a change order out? I think
there was 2. There's a concrete pad you're placing down at the bleachers for the football field. I think it's for the band, I believe.
That's for the relocation of the bleachers that was on the visitor side. They're now coming over to the home side. That will be where the band will sit. It's about 500 seats, 420 for the band, so that they'll have their dedicated area that will be sort of separate from the fans. One of the biggest complaints you always have at a football game, the band will get up in the top of the stadium and then they're playing. Nobody wants to sit in front of them. They don't want to have to hold their ears or anything else, but they'll have their own location. It's their own pep section in a sense. So I think it's really a cool addition, and they're going to make those bleachers match everything that's in the stadium. So it will look uniform from the home side to that being part of the home side as well.
Correct. One more was a drainage flume that's going to connect all the way to Engineer Drive.
Yeah, and we did, since we had the new drainage flume there at the park, we've got a lot of water that stands out there by the entrance of the high school, so they're gonna bring that drain all the way out and catch all that water and get all the water off there as well. So when this is all done, it'll be new blacktop everywhere, completely redone. That campus will be completely done. Now, the only other change order I know right now that's coming to you guys will be the sewer, the force main for the baseball, softball, sanitary sewer. We've had to make some changes in how that's connected, and we've got some answers to that. And
Today we did.
we probably will not have a price to you Tuesday, but I will sort of let Ms. Ispert know, and she can communicate with you all what that's going to be. But that's the only other change order right now that we know, other than just a few little small things out there.
The one thing that's not inside of PR9, which is your gym lobby changes, we pulled out the plumbing and HVAC price because we went back and we've changed a few things. I didn't have time to get that pricing prior to this meeting, so I just pulled out that piece of that pricing. So when we come back again, either Tuesday or probably next month, there might be an additional cost for the plumbing of the concession stand and all that stuff.
So it's quite a bit of money. It's total. I mean, I don't know, you see the totals for each one of them down through there, but you can see that we're a little bit north of probably $500,000, or right there in the ballpark, closer to $6. But the money is available. We had an extensive meeting last week with Peter and his team, and Kenny was part of that. And we went through each of these items, and we are able to finance these items and feel good about moving forward with them. So I think.
Do we need to do individual?
We don't have to.
Which one?
Individual motions and votes, or?
You can state it as you're going to make a motion to approve change orders as listed. And you may want to, in that motion, you may want to list each one of them, 1-1, 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rebecca can take care of that. Do you agree with that? Okay, so one motion to approve all the change orders, and that's my recommendation then.
So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the change orders, and I can list them. Do you need me to list them for the public, Jonathan? Change order 1-1, change order number 3-1, change order 5-1, change order 7-1, change order 8-1, change order 9-1, change order 10-1, change order 11-1, change order 13-3, and change order 15-3. I need a motion to approve these change orders as stated.
If I could clarify one thing real fast, just so everybody's on the same page. So this also comes with a 20-day time extension for all that work, all that money. I mean, that's not really that much time, but, and there's three change orders in here, 3-1 and, let's see, 5-1 and 11-1 that are no cost to you guys. All that is a time extension request to extend the contract 20 days.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Tammy Hardy makes a motion. Do I have a second? Carrie Smallwood makes a second. Do we have any discussion related to any of these items? I was in that meeting with them, and we went through things quite extensively, so I feel really good about everything. So, nothing further, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And so the public will know, these minutes will go up live, and these attachments will go live sometime here in the next couple days. So if anybody wants to go in and see what each one of these are and what the amounts are, you'll be able to do that once Rebecca releases them. And we usually do that the following week after the board meeting, so that you can see all these attachments. If you ever want to see what's board minutes, board agendas, whatever, they're always posted to the website, and it's pretty easy to find. If you have a difficult time, all you have to do is call Mr. Simpson, and he'll be glad to direct you to where those are at. But for full transparency, we want our taxpayers and our public to know exactly where their money's going. And he's got the website pulled up there right now. He can pretty much show you under quick links up at the top. You can go down and you can find Board of Education, and once you go there, you can go to, there's the meetings, the archive minutes, and all of the login information, okay?
All right. So next on our agenda, we have future projects, and first on the list, we have the Estill County High School ARP ESSER 3 Sanitary Line Project.
And that's Mr. Peter,
Mr.
and
Peter.
I will help him out by saying one thing. I know that we have been around this thing, we've tried to skin this cat 100 different ways, but I think we have a solution, but this is the first step of the solution tonight. So we just recently had a bid, and Peter, you can pick it up there.
Yeah, we did. We rebid the project and had a bid opening a week ago on February 10th. We were optimistic, but as you can see, the bid came in a little bit higher than we anticipated, and we feel like we have explored some other options. We're very excited about moving forward, and we think that we should pursue those other options, if you will, moving forward on this project. So it would be our recommendation that you reject the bid that we received on February 10th. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about that.
And just to make everyone on the board clear about it, those bids came in high, and after you all reworked everything, you thought you could get it within our budget, which was somewhere around 200, 220.
That is correct.
And that's what I had shared with the other board members prior to the meeting. So we feel by rejecting this bid, we can rebid it and we can come in within our budget.
Well, we're, not to get too deep in the weeds, going back to some of the previous bids, we believe that, and I talked extensively with our attorneys yesterday on the proper procedure here. We actually had received other bids that we've declined, and now because of just going through this process, we're just exploring what those are. I'm not going to tell you all. Peter and I are gun shy at this point to say that this is going to work out, but we feel pretty confident that there's some things that we believe is going to come to pass that is going to help us, and there'll be some things over time that everything will work out. But in order to properly do this and stay legal, we felt like that we had to deal with this first situation, which is the current bid. That I can't bring a bid back to you all that was $170,000 higher than the previous bid and ask you to accept that bid. I wouldn't do that. So we're trying to be good stewards of what we're given, and then we want to make sure legally that we're on firm footing. So just to make a long story short, this is the best way for us to move forward and legally do it the correct way. And this is through the advice from our attorney that the first order of business is to reject this bid, and we'll bring back to you Tuesday, if you all are able to go ahead and set a meeting for Tuesday next week, then we will go to step 2.
So I have a question. So I know obviously a lot of the different projects we have kind of are a little bit over budget, in some areas. Why is this one so hard to nail down?
Peter, you want to take that? I think I know. I mean,
when I read it, I think that's probably telling me what I need to know. But
Right. So with this one, there's some interesting conditions in the ground on that particular site, right? So we're dealing with some peritic shale. And when you're trenching, there were a couple of fairly long trenches in this project. And I think that the contractors were a little bit concerned about how to manage the shale and how to manage, specifying what was, or providing what was specified in the project. We've looked at options at how to reduce the scope. We feel pretty comfortable that we've made some good decisions in that regard. The contractor that provided us the bid on February 10th just really was not able to get anywhere sort of near the budget of the project, and we really feel like there's an opportunity to craft a project that will satisfy the needs of the Phase 7 football field project, as well as get the sanitary line, which is a major consideration for the board, to get the sanitary line fixed for the high school.
And I think to just make it as simple as it can be, I think we've got some contractors, they're afraid that they're going to run into conditions that's going to cost them a whole lot of money. And because of that, we're paying a premium price, or at least that's what the bids are reflecting, a premium price for this project. And that's based on a previous project that's right up the hill, which is at ATC, that had some conditions and soil conditions that did add quite a bit of expense to some of those contractors. So they're trying to cover themselves. I'm not mad at them. You can't be mad at them. They're trying to cover themselves, but I also don't think it's fair for us to have to pay for basically an insurance policy that if we get here, this is what it's going to cost us. And I guess we won't know until actually you get to digging in terms of how bad it is. But I just think it's a perfect storm. COVID and everything else, with materials going through the roof and everything else, it's just a perfect storm. But like I said, this is step one. Again, this is advice from our board attorney yesterday, and I know that Jonathan spoke to you, and you all feel like this is the best move forward. And I think the picture will be a lot clearer on Tuesday, but out of respect for this contractor, we owe them an up and down vote on rejecting this bid.
Okay. We probably need to thank IMU for all of their help.
Yeah.
IMU helped us tremendously on this project, and some of the things that, and of course, B. Williams. B said that in 1986 he helped put in that original sewer line that's there. So, he had some unique experience from being there as a young man doing that. So, helped us a lot. And we've had a lot of contractors step up and try to help us here, and we're not mad at any of them, or we're disappointed we've not been able to work with them. But we'll get this done. I mean, it's very important to this project. I mean, we do have an option that we've got a sewer line in place that is not currently up to current code, but based on the fact it's already there, that sewer line it could be used. It's just the fear is that line runs diagonally across almost the entire length of that football field and track. So if there was a problem in the future, then you've got to deal with your football field and track again. And I don't think we want to do that unless it is absolutely the final resort. And I don't think that's what we're going to have to do, but that option's always out there for you all to consider, is that we pay nothing and we protect that line and we move forward as it is. But I think we got maybe something a little bit better, and we already had ESSER funds that's been budgeted for this project. So we've got a path forward.
Okay.
It'll be your all's choice how we move forward.
Okay. So I need a motion to reject the February 10th, 2022 bid package for the ARP ESSER 3A High School Sanitary Sewer Project. I have a motion from Sheila Samples. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? Like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, Mr. Saylor, we're down to our action items. I guess Peter and Kenny can leave.
Thank you.
Be careful in the wind and rain. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all about hit that line of thunderstorms. Be safe.
We are down to our action items, Mr. Saylor. Do you want to review those?
Yeah, the first two, and we'll take these one at a time, but the first two are very important because it's SBDM allocation time. The board, by board policy, has to give each of our schools an SBDM allocation by March 1. And in reality, you've already seen this here. I did just clean up a couple of things, making sure that we had all of the ESSER-funded projects, or ESSER-funded positions are all coded in purple here. And you all have had this document since early on when this was posted. This is your district staffing policy. Same policy you approved in December. And now I'm asking you to confirm this policy for the FY23 school year so that we can start making decisions on staffing and personnel going into the next school year. So again, no changes, what you would say, from the meeting that we had back in December. So my recommendation is for us to approve that, and if you've got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the district staffing plan? Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do we have a second? Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. We have our school staffing policy.
Yeah, the second one is probably the most urgent at this time, and that is our SBDM allocation staffing policy for our schools, which was required by state law and by board policy. And if you'll scroll down, Jeremy, and just keep moving forward all the way down to where it starts with positions. These are positions at each of your schools in terms of your principal, your assistant principals, and those first two. Go back to those real quick, Jeremy, and let me let you see, for instance, each of those positions are for 187 days. You all do know that our principals have extended time and they have extended days, but it's always been the advice of KDE, and just from the position of allocating positions, you allocate the 187-day position, which is their base contract. You don't want to include their days or extra time, because councils have a wide range of authority that they can decide, for instance, that they might want to say that our principal doesn't need 240 days. We would like to change this to 220 days and then take that money for the 20 days and use it to purchase somewhere else. It does happen places. You know, we have good relationships with our councils and our principals. They're not going to do that. But because that's advice, you never allocate for the entire position or any of the extended time. Because basically, we're telling them these are the positions, but basically what you're doing is you're giving that council a lump sum of money that they have wide range authority about how to spend it. Go to the next page, which is your certified staff. These are your staffing ratios, which is required by law. Primary by law has to be 24-1. 4th and 5th grade is 28-1. Grades 6 through 8, 6th grade is 29-1. 7th and 8th grade can be 31-1, but we staff it at 29-1, and we do the same at our high school. And of course, you have the little caveat there with high school teachers, they can't have more than 150 pupil hours in one day in terms of their number of students that they reach every day. But then you got your guidance counselors at each of your schools, the media specialists, and then Section 7 money, which is something we usually do not have because we end up giving our schools additional staff members anyway, which eats up most of the Section 7 money that we have. So that is very important for me. I've already done the legwork in terms of, I've got paperwork ready to hand to Rebecca in the morning, if you all approve this, that I will have their school allocations ready for them and they'll go out next week. Classified staff can be included in this, and this talks about the number of secretaries and clerks that we have at each school and what those positions are in terms of para educators and instructional assistants in terms of those positions. Now remember, at the December meeting, we removed custodians from the school staffing and moved them back to district staffing because of now our contract with our cleaning company. And so that we could have a little bit more ability to use our custodians in a manner that makes more sense at the district level. And of course, that is part of Mr. Willis's new position in terms of operational management. So other than that, there is absolutely no changes to this except for the fact custodians have been removed and put in district staffing. So my recommendation is to approve that one as well.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the school staffing policy? Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do we have a second? Brian Covey makes a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we have approval of our student accident insurance renewal policy.
We always, and Jeremy, go to the other document. That is just a cost analysis of, if you guys want to look at that, it sort of goes through the cost run in terms of different injuries, in terms of our athletic programs and what it's cost us. But as you know, the KHSAA does carry catastrophic insurance, but it does have it does start at a certain amount. I can't remember what that amount is, but the board has to carry liability insurance to cover the first payments that would be needed in terms of, let's say we have a student athlete that tears an ACL. This policy would cover up to a certain amount until that KHSAA policy kicks in and then pays the remaining amount. So this is sort of like a stopgap coverage for all of our athletic programs. As a Board of Education, you all were doing this before I got here. My former school district did the same thing. We actually carry accident insurance for all of our students. That covers our students from the time they get to the school bus stop to the time they get off the school bus every afternoon. And it really, the cost for that is minimal compared as an add-on. So when you actually look at this, we got 3 bid proposals, and the cheapest quote that we received from Roberts Insurance was for Hartford for $55,822. That is a slight increase, but also if you look at our cost runs from, that's the other document there, you can see that there has been a couple of injuries and stuff that has caused us to have to use this policy. That's what it's there for. But I think it's less than a $3,000 increase from last year. So my recommendation is we accept the bid from Hartford Insurance for our student accident insurance for $55,820. Our board, I appreciate the fact our board covers all of our students, just not our athletes, because there's a lot of school districts that do not do that. And it's something that we had a young lady got hurt in a bus incident. She's covered. So we try to make sure that we're protecting our students and our families so that we don't want some great financial cost because of an injury at school that's going to put a family in a bad position. So I do appreciate y'all doing that for our kids.
Okay. Next, we have our plan of school organization / district facility plan. And this is no action, a discussion topic only.
This is a discussion topic, and this is to basically begin a discussion that probably started before the pandemic started. And then, of course, once COVID-19 started, then we sort of lost some momentum. But as you all know, we've discussed a couple times, different ones have discussed our school organization. Whenever you approve a district facility plan, and so you all will know, this coming fall, we have to do a new district facility plan. And we already know that there's some changes that would have to be made. And right where you're at, Jeremy, if you go down and you look at South Irvin Early Childhood Center, you will see that it is listed as a transitional facility. That was done at the time when we were considering 4 years ago in our district facility plan that we was going to close South Urban, build a addition on at Estill Springs that would house preschool as well as kindergarten, and close that facility altogether. So whenever you've got a building that you are not going to do any more upgrades to, you list it as transitional. Well, since then, with all the money that we've had poured into that building with CAC, and as you all know, we've got an ESSER project over there now, that building has now almost totally been remodeled by the end of this school year. And based on how construction goes this summer, it may carry into next spring. They may have to do one side of the building one summer and do the other side the next summer. They're trying to work on that phasing. I'm trying to make it sure that it's all done this summer. But once those windows are changed in that facility, you've got a facility over there that's in first-class shape. It's got a new roof on it. It's going to have new windows. It's already got new lighting. New kitchen. It's been cleaned up. New playgrounds that's been installed by CAC. And, I bragged on CAC earlier. The financial support that they've given that school in terms of new playgrounds, and new furniture, and new technology, and they have been absolutely fantastic with us and been a great partner. We need to change the status of that facility. We need to go back and change it to a permanent status. So that's one of the changes that you'll have to make, along with any construction projects that's listed down below that. But the first thing that's on that district facility plan is the plan of school organization. And our current plan at that time, 4 years ago, was we had a preschool center, we had a kindergarten, first and second grade center, which is Estill Springs, we had a 3 through 5 intermediate school, which is West Irvin, and we had the middle school and the high school. And at that time, as you can see the long-range plan was for it to be preschool through 2. But with Estill Springs now becoming a permanent center again, and you're going to say, well, why? What's the big deal about that? When it's listed as transitional, you cannot spend any of your capital outlay funds on that building. You can only spend general fund in that building to take care of that. So we want to make sure that we don't limit ourselves. If you did have a problem that, you could use your capital outlay funds that we have in order to address those problems. So to make a long range, we've got to determine what is the long range plan of this school district. So when you deal with the plan of school organization, it pretty much is the configuration of your schools. Now, as I said, 2 years ago, there was discussions that started, is that does our current organization at the elementary and intermediate school level, does it hinder what we want to see accomplished with our students? And so the discussion started, what if Estill Springs and West Irvin both went back to being K-5 school centers? That each of those schools would host kindergarten through 5th grade. And we started having discussions here at the office. Myself, Miss Isaacs is quarantining tonight, so she's not here. But Miss Mullins and Miss Arvin are here, and we started having discussions a little over a month ago about what are some of the pros, what are some of the cons that would be involved in making that process. So I've held 2 meetings with them, and I told them that we would discuss this tonight and begin the discussion of this. And I want to share with you all, these are the last meeting that we had. We talked about what the pros were. This is my stuff. Let me not give it away. I've got some other things here. We've got some things that we discussed openly, and then yesterday I told each of them that this was going on the board agenda, and they've started meetings with their leadership teams and their staff discussing, do we want to look at this? And I'm going to give both of you all this so that you can make sure this is sort of what we talked about in our meeting, okay? I tried to summarize what I put up on this board. And I don't have enough copies for everybody, but we just went down through there, and there was just some general facts that I felt like that, and somewhere I put my glasses. Are they on my head? No.
You want mine?
I don't know where I put them.
I see if they're under the paper right there.
That's where they're at, thank you. I'm telling you what, I'm getting old. I can't remember anything. So just some general facts and information, as we talked about. We looked at projected school enrollments. And if we went to two K-5 schools, as you know right now, Estill Springs is pushing 500 students. It's a school built for, if you look there at Estill Springs, it's built for, their enrollment is 454 and the school is built for 400. As you know, we've got a project right now to look at extending the capacity of Estill Springs by adding 4 classrooms, but even with the addition of those 4 classrooms, your enrollment is only going to go, it could go up to about 480, which is still under what their current capacity is with the addition of those 4 classrooms. And I've not looked at exactly, there's a formula, it won't quite be 480, it won't be 4 classrooms, 24 in a classroom, stuff like that. There's a formula that brings that out there. School boundaries would generally run, if we decided to do this and we split the county, the school boundaries would generally run along the river. Everything on the south side of the river is West Irvin, everything on the north side of the river is Estill Springs. There are some little changes out west because of how everything goes out there when you get out towards the Clark County line and maybe Spout Springs in terms of just making sure that the populations were the same. There would have to be provisions for district enrollment and how you would determine if there would have to be some type of application process in case somebody, let's say you got somebody that lives on the north side, but they teach at West Irvin, there would have to be an application process for their kids to go to West Irvin, that type of thing. And you all had all this stuff in place before. Staff assignments would generally stay the same. We would give staff members an opportunity to transfer. The only staff members that I know that would definitely impact that may not stay the same would be the fact if you split kindergartens, then you've got instructional assistants that could not stay at one school. We would have to split those, but we would do that based on a request if that was something we ended up doing. District leadership and school principals would have to ensure aligned, equitable curriculum. And when looking at the state accountability data, I think it's important that the highest intermediate school in the state, out of the 516 schools in the state of Kentucky, intermediate schools, there's not a lot of them in grades 3 through 5. Most of them are K-5 schools, but there are a few. But the highest performing school in a 3 through 5 setting was 235 out of 516. So that was the highest performing intermediate school. West Irvin was somewhere in the upper 400s, and as you can see, there's 516 total elementary schools that's in accountability. You can see the pros that we talked about. We did talk about cons. There are some cons that you have to think about as well. And then we basically, in terms of just some questions for thought, does this fit our one school, one district motto that we've sort of had, trying to be a one school, one district? How does this impact our district strategic plan, which we implemented this school year? And again, the focus of that strategic plan is on the portrait of a graduate. What does a senior look like when they walk across the stage at Estill County High School? Everything that Tony Garrett does at South Irvin, everything that Miss Mullins and Miss Arvin does at their schools at Springs and West, everything the middle school does, everything should focus on the final product. And you do checks along the way, but just like at the Corvette plant, they check each different thing, the chassis, the body, all that stuff. But in the end, a Corvette rolls off the finish line, that's what we're looking at in terms of our strategic plan. A graduate leaves Estill County High School, and how does that impact, how does this impact that strategic plan? And how do we allow for parental and community support if this is something you all want to look at? To let you know steps that I've already taken. Tanya and I met with our school principals to discuss this reconfiguration. School leadership teams, my understanding is, met yesterday and began this discussion. And each school is developing maybe a pro-con list. Some of them's not looking at pro-con lists. They're just looking at statistics and data and how that they're sort of beginning to look at what would this look like. So I'm not telling you, in a sense, we need to do this, but if we do this, we know that there's a lot of work that has to be done. If we don't do this, I've told both of our principals in our meeting, and I think so that for clarity, I've told them if we're not going to do this, we have got to find a way to marry those two schools. They have got to marry, they have got to be one school, but the question is, can they be one school if they're in two different places? And that's the question that's got to be answered. So they begin their discussions. I don't know if y'all have any questions for them. I don't know if y'all have any questions about this sheet that I've given you all. This is not for a decision tonight, but I do think if this is something the board wants to pursue, and let me say this. This is not a site-based decision. This is strictly a Board of Education decision. This is your all's decision. It is a duty that's given to the Board of Education in terms of the alignment of your schools or the plan of organization of schools. But I will caution you that, and I caution myself, if this is something we're going to do, then we have to open up an avenue by which we need to listen to these two principals, and we need to listen to their school leadership teams, and we need to listen to their concerns. And personally, this is how I would tell you that I think that we should proceed if this is something you want to pursue tonight. We're not saying we're going to do it, but this is something, if you want to continue this discussion, then I think at that point in time, we're going to have a board work session that would involve the board and both of those school leadership teams and anybody from those schools that want to attend. And we need to have a dialogue. And that's what we discussed that day. We need to have a dialogue to hear where they're coming from. And I've told them, and I don't mean this bad, because as superintendent, I have the responsibility, number one, to protect the well-being of our students and their educational opportunity. I also have the responsibility to protect our staff members and to make this a great work environment. So I don't want this statement to sound contrary to what my duties are as superintendent. But I do know one thing, and something I told both of them, and I think they're both in agreement. And we had good conversations, did we not, ladies, in our meetings? I think we had good conversations. And I think our deal is this. This decision has to be made on one factor. It has to be made on student achievement and the social, emotional, and mental well-being of our students. That's the decision. That's the number one priority. And I don't want any staff member to be upset, but if we have to have some instructional assistants that moved from west to Springs, or I'm sorry, from Springs to west, then, you know, we have to do that. We do what we have to do and what's best for our kids. But I pretty much told them, we really don't have to move staff members around. We can give staff members an opportunity to request a transfer if they would rather be at a certain school and they want to transfer. It doesn't mean we can honor it, but at least we give them the opportunity to ask for a transfer, and then we would look at it from that standpoint. So we want to listen to our staff, we want to listen to our needs, but that is secondary to the question, what is best for our students? What's best for our students and their growth and their progress towards being a graduate at Estill County High School? So you all may say tonight, you don't want to pursue this. I don't think you've got enough information to do either one. My advice to you all, and I don't know you, like I said, and I'll hush once I make this statement, and if you all want to ask Jessica or Charlotte any questions, you'll be more than free to do so. But my suggestion is that I believe we have to schedule the first board work session, and we have to listen to those school leadership teams. And we have to listen to these principals. And then based upon that information that you gather from that meeting, and it could be one meeting, it may be 2 meetings. I don't know how many meetings you may wish to have. But it's something that I think you have to do. And then and only then can you then direct me in terms of what you want me to do. You may at the end of that meeting say, Mr. Saylor, we want to continue, and now we want to hear from our parents about this. And I think that's perfectly fine. We may in that meeting see that, hey, there's too many issues, there's not enough time to do this and do it correctly, and you all may look at me and you may direct me as the instructional leader of this school district to say, Mr. Saylor, we need you to sit down with these 2 principals and figure out how we're going to marry those 2 schools as they're currently configured and make this work for our kids. So my advice is for us to look at, let me work with these 2 principals and schedule a board work session sometime during the first week of March. And us just come together as a group. We can meet in a bigger area. We can meet in one of the libraries. If we don't want to show any advantage to somebody, we can meet at the high school. Mr. Yost can let us use the auditorium, wherever y'all want to meet at. And it's just a board work session. Of course, board work sessions are open to the public. Public wants to attend, there'll be no public comment. We'll only listen to comment from the 2 schools and from their leadership teams. But the public can participate at that point. And then after that meeting, then you need to let me know, hey, we'd like to have another meeting with school leadership, or we want to hear from our parents and community now. However you all want to proceed. But I think the first step is to have that work session. Or you might tell me tonight, hey, give us a couple days. If you want a couple days to think about it, then what we can do, we can add this on the agenda for Tuesday's meeting, and then you can tell me, Mr. Saylor, we'd like to schedule a board work session, or you either tell me, we think that you should work to try to see if we can figure out how to marry the 2 schools together as they are. Now, I'm willing to do either one. If you're willing tonight to say, hey, let's schedule a board work session, then we'll do that. So I'll leave it up to you all.
Does anybody have any comments or any questions at this time?
I think it ought to be a board work session, so we can hear both sides.
I think it should be on the agenda for Tuesday. That gives everybody some time to think about it after you've given us a little bit more information regarding it. I think it needs to be as an action item.
It gives you a chance to look over this.
Yes.
Call me if you have any questions. I don't think either one of our principals would have an issue if you all wanted to speak to them. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, Grant. Is there in this particular case? If you wanted to call one of them about this particular topic before the meeting? But I think at this point you need to decide how you want to move forward. Now, I will caution you this. It's February. So if this is something that's going to be done, this is not something that can just be done, make a decision June the 15th and think we're going to be ready for school.
I've lived through this process, so I know.
But now's the time.
I think putting it on the agenda for Tuesday, that gives
Yes.
everybody an opportunity to absorb some of this information, think through it, and we can put it as an action item for Tuesday. Would that be appropriate, Jonathan?
Or Grant.
Grant, I'm sorry. I called you Jonathan twice. I'm sorry.
Jonathan said he was going to try to be here tonight, but I think he had something come up,
Yeah.
which I
So
told him.
let's
I told
put it
him,
on-
send the A-team if you can't come, you know. That's what-
Yeah, there you go.
So basically, right now, we've got, I think, facilities is the second agenda item for Tuesday. So item 3, Rebecca, would be action item, basically to approve board work session or to make a decision concerning moving forward with the plan of organization for the school district. Does that sound okay to you all?
And I think we as a board welcome comments or, information from our principals or our leadership team.
Well, there's one thing that we found out a long time ago, and it started with the recallable nickel. When you give people an opportunity to, number one, be informed, and number two, have a voice, then it makes things like this a lot easier. The big deal here is we're not closing a school. You want to go through that. Now, that's hard.
I've been through that.
When you go through closing a school, I sat one time on the district facility planning committee that closed 5 schools. So imagine what that was like as part of that planning process. I mean, so this is not that. This is not going to be something that people's going to come out of the woodwork screaming and hollering, "You're closing my community school." But there will be some passion about this discussion on some places. But again, I think in my email to you all that I sent you, we're not going to have those heated discussions. We're going to have a dialogue, a civil dialogue about one thing: what's best for the students that attend our schools, and how is that going to impact them as a graduate. So we'll put it on the board agenda. We don't need a motion to put something on the board agenda, so we'll just put that on the board agenda. And as far as Charlotte, you and Jessica, you all need to continue to have those discussions. I know you've already met with leadership. I think you're starting to have those discussions with your staff members. And we're all adults here. Everybody needs to be honest. Everybody needs to give their honest opinion. Long as it's focused on one thing, what's best for students, that's the one focus that we have to focus on. And then as we move forward in this process, the board can decide, and if we decide to move forward with a work session, then I'd like to come back early March. We may need to have a construction item early March anyway. We got so many things going on right now. I think that would sort of work into our schedule. Construction being a little bitty thing, because that work session really needs to focus on this topic. And I'm gonna hush. I think I've done the best I can to tell the public that's listening what the thought process is. I think I've explained to you all what the process is. I don't know if our girls, either one of them has a comment. If you do, now's the time. Okay. Then we'll come back on Tuesday and you all can make a decision. And as the superintendent, and I work for you all and I work for the people of Estill County, I'll carry through whatever you all want to do.
Tuesday session, what time will we start?
I'd like to do just a virtual meeting on Tuesday at about noon. And I've got that on the board agenda here to make a decision a little bit later, but you all be thinking about that until we get down to that portion of the meeting. So thank you all, and that's it for action items.
Okay, Mr. Saylor, we're down to our consent items. You want to discuss that?
Well, let me just tell you real quick, you've only, is the February 3rd minutes on the agenda? They're posted, but she didn't get them in the book, so we'll have to sign off on that. But you've already seen the minutes from the January 20th and February 3rd meeting. You got the treasurer report and payment of bills that's been posted. When we approved the calendar last time, we had an oversight that we could have counted the holiday on the Friday. Since the holiday, Christmas and New Year's falls on the weekend, you have the ability to count it on the Friday before or the Monday after. Well, if we count it on the Monday after, we lose a day. And the whole idea is that school year's already starting late. We didn't need to lose a day, so we're not changing breaks or anything. I'm just asking you to approve this revised calendar, which shows the holiday for Christmas being the 22nd of December. New Year's is the 30th. I'm sorry, it's the 23rd is the day that we'll celebrate Christmas in our calendar. The 30th is the day we'll celebrate New Year's Day, so when we come back in January, we'll have the work day, which our teachers really use to get ready for their kids coming back, and kids on Tuesday. The other calendar had kids not coming back to Wednesday. So we gain a day this way, doesn't change anything. 2 full weeks off for Christmas, the 2 days for fall break, and the 2 days for spring break as it's in the calendar. So I'm asking you all to just approve that quick revision. And there's a children clinic donation of some technology items, and the board always has to accept those. So with that in mind, my recommendation is to approve the consent items.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Brian Covey and a second by Sheila Samples. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Okay, Mr. Saylor, we are down to the superintendent's report. That'll be you.
Okay, real quick, you've got your personnel actions, you've got your school update, and in terms of enrollment, our attendance continues to still be pretty good. Mr. Norton tracks that daily, and along with all the COVID situations, and then of course tomorrow being a TRI day based on some COVID issues that we're having, so a lot of things has changed in the DPP world. Summer school, June 22. We are moving forward with plans right now for a 3 or 4 week summer school period during the month of June. We want to gain as many days as possible if we can to help our students, especially our Tier 3 students that are really behind because of COVID issues, and trying to address them. I have a good friend that he's always said, his statement is, there is no substitute for extra time outside of the school day. So that summer school could be very important to our students going into the next school year as they transition to a new grade level. Our only caveat there, and I will be talking to our girls tomorrow, we have a meeting tomorrow afternoon, teaching and learning meeting, and summer school is going to be one of the topics, I believe, or at least I'm going to make it one of the topics tomorrow, is just that we do have to finish summer school up before July 1, because it will make things a lot easier on payroll to go ahead and get everybody paid and get it out of the system, so that when we roll over the new school year on July 1, we don't have any of that lingering. Let me give you a COVID-19 update, and we're starting to get a lot of interest as you start seeing school districts lift the mask policy. And number one, I will say, it's amazing. There's a reason I don't have Facebook, because I don't look at a lot of this stuff, but sometimes people want to share it with me, and I will make one statement real quick, just for me in general. I try to really follow the science, and I try to err on the side of caution in all cases. My politics have nothing to do with it, because if I voted my political party, I would probably be out there hollering no mask. But that's just not, this is not, to me, this is not a political thing, and I think we've done a good job as a school board taking the politics out of this. I'll make this statement, is that I'm not aware of one person that's died from wearing a mask, but we've lost 12,000 Kentuckians to COVID. So are they inconvenient? Yes, I've sat here tonight, my glasses fog over. I mean, they're inconvenient, but if I can help one person not have to suffer through COVID, and we've had board members that's had family members that's had to suffer through. We've had 2 principals that have really had a difficult time with COVID in our school district. So I always want to err on the side of caution, but I will say this as well. I do think as things improve, at some point in time, we do need to consider what we want to do with masks. I wanted to give you all an update tonight. One of the comments, board comments tonight, and I think both of them were about mask wearing. Okay, just so everybody know, the thought process is out there that every school district's doing away with masks. There's only one school district around us right now that have mask optional, and that's Madison County. Everybody else is still wearing masks. They're still mandatory. Most of them are set on a metric, and I believe ours was even set on a metric at one time. If we're red, we continue to wear a mask. Now, as we move forward, we may want to consider, as this strain starts to go away, we may want to do something sooner. I do think it would be good if we could get back to the point. I think it would be appreciated by our students who have not fussed, who have not complained, at least not made big deals of it. And I think our principals can tell you that. They've not made big deals of it. I would like to see them be able to maybe finish the school year without masks. I think it would be good. But I also know right now, so everybody knows, right now Estill County is having the spike that everybody had 3 weeks ago. For whatever reason, we were about 2 or 3 weeks behind. Now ours is coming down. So just so you all know, and this is for the record, Clark County still has universal masking. Jackson County has universal masking. Wolfe County has universal masking. Montgomery, universal masking. Owsley, universal masking. Powell has universal masking. Again, Madison County is the only district around us that has went to mask optional. So I don't think from a standpoint of looking where we're at right now, our COVID number yesterday was 129. I don't know what it is today. Now, it was falling. It's been falling. It was 250 something last week. I do think that we need to look at this, and if early March, and I've sort of set March 4th as sort of a date to look at, if our numbers can continue to go down, and those numbers continue to go down, I think we could consider something March 4th. If we have, if we want to call that a special called board meeting instead of a board work session that first week of March, we could put this on the agenda and you all could decide if we wanted to do that, which would be perfectly fine. I don't think if it's a work session, can you have action coming out of a work session, Grant?
You can. I mean, it's, the name isn't really, the name isn't special.
Okay. So, I mean, regardless of how we do it, we might could, when we have the work session, if that's what you all decide, do it then. If we have a special called meeting because of construction, we can do it then. I do think it would be good if we could move in that direction. But just know what's happened tomorrow. We have staff members with COVID and we cannot transport our kids tomorrow. So that's why we don't have school. So anybody that thinks COVID has went away, it's not. And nobody, I don't think any parent out there right now would want us to be going to school in June. Nobody wants that. And it looks like today we are at, well, 123, so we're down a little bit again today. So our numbers are going down. So I don't know if you all have any comments on that, but I just want you to know where I'm thinking. I think it would be good if we could get to the point that our kids would be mask optional. My deal would be mask are strongly suggested instead of just be mask optional, because I think some parents would still let have their kids wearing masks. I would try to wear mine right now everywhere I go.
Do too.
I mean, I just do, but that, again, that's my choice. I don't have to wear it everywhere I go, I do. But, you know, we've got a lot of students that are compromised that can't fend for themselves. We've got adults in our buildings that have medical issues as well. I don't want to do something that puts somebody in danger. And I've always said, if nothing else, live by the golden rule. You know? Treat others as you would have them treat you. Protect others, love one another, protect those around us. And that's what I've tried to live by. Now, I don't know if y'all have comments on that, but I do think as these numbers go down, I think it's in our future pretty soon that we can wear a mask. But I would tell you today, I would not take mask off. We're out of school tomorrow, for God's sakes, for COVID. So, I mean, everybody's got to understand, we're just not there yet. I want to be there.
To add a little more scripture, be as wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up today. Because our public comments was about that, both of them were about that, so I just thought I would address it. I don't believe in hiding things. I put it on the agenda, we get it out there, we discuss it. If y'all got any comments, if not, that's it for my superintendent report.
have any comments? So we are down to the board forum. Do we have anything from any of the board members?
Well, I'm going to run for reelection. To come Monday, I'm going to file.
Well, congratulations.
I was hinging on some medical issues that I was having, and those came out good reports, so I'm
That's,
planning on it. I want to see some other activities finished
Well, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank
for the
you.
best of our students.
that's awesome. So for those of you in the community that don't know, we have 2 board positions that'll be coming up for re-election. One of them is Miss Sheila Samples, and the other one is Mr. Brian Covey. And I think he's been tossing around the idea of filing again too. So I don't know if he's made 100% decision, but Miss Sheila has decided she is going to file the first of the week. So we appreciate her service. And
Mr. Sager, do we have a map of that, what the regions are that we can post so people know?
I don't necessarily have a map. I have a description in my office. I know what the board precincts are for each board seat, but I don't know that there's a map in terms of that. We'll be glad to post that if anybody.
you can get the map from the courthouse from Brian Crow.
Brian Crow has the map,
He actually
so.
has a map, and the districts for the school board are different than the regular voting precincts or
That's what I was
districts.
saying, 'cause a lot of people have asked.
Charlotte probably knows a lot about that because I know she's active in some of that
I'm District 3.
on the districts and
I think the key is so people know where they live, which district are they in.
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think June something is
Well,
the
it's
filing
different than
deadline.
just like, it's
Yeah.
different than just like West Irvin and
Yeah.
the school district is different than those. And
They're-
the school board is a nonpartisan race.
That's right, and they're usually all over the place in all these counties. School board districts are all over the place, so. But Mr. Crow would have that, and
Yes.
I think filing deadline is June for those that's
Yes, it is.
interested in running for the board. But congratulations to you, Ms. Sheila, on your decision.
And I think that Mr. Saylor addressed the public comments.
Was there any others? Anybody here with any comment?
Okay. And anybody here? I guess that's no. And then we need a motion to go into closed session.
I make the motion.
Sheila Samples makes a motion, Brian Covey makes a second. All in favor? Any opposed? We're going into closed session.
And
Thank
so the public will know before you shut off, there'll be no action coming out of closed session. And so once we come out of closed session, we will immediately adjourn the meeting. So I appreciate everybody that's tuned in tonight. And thank you all for being here.